I really only feel like taking intelligent questions tonight. So if they're not intelligent, then you're going to get the hook. Oh, it's a big drop there, okay. Yes, sir, thank you. Stand up, name, rank, and number. What?
My name is Larry Davis.
Larry, okay.
I would like to know your finest memory from the making of Time After Time.
Yes.
Okay, just passed. As an intelligent question, thank you. Time After Time is the finest movie that I've ever been associated with, in that I married the leading lady and we had 2 children. And one of them, a son, Charlie McDowell, is a director, and a very good one. You may want to check out on Netflix his latest movie called The Discovery, with Jason Segel, Rooney Mara, and Robert Redford. Not bad for a little kid in short trousers. I'll be known as Charlie McDowell's father anytime soon. And I'm very proud of him, but he's a terrific director and a really good writer. How did I enjoy that movie? I love that movie. In that it got me out of England. Thank God, the Malays of England. I was ready to get out, and also I'd been in Rome, I think, doing Caligula for a year, and I was really over that. Thank you, here's Caligula sitting there. Yeah. Stand up, darling, take a bow. Not quite sure, I think it's a female, and Caligula, I think it was a male, and that is a toga. I don't think that was commonly worn by women, but it's a beautiful costume, and if I was to vote, which I'm not, I'd give the prize to you, as you're the only one in costume here tonight. But yes, I fell in love on that movie. We had a wonderful time. It was a wonderful part for me because, you know, I was so happy to get away from playing monsters, serial killers, crazy emperors, etc., etc. So just to play a charming, whimsical character was such a great change of pace, and I really loved it. And also I was working with friends, not only Mary Steenburgen, who's brilliant in the movie, but David Warner, who I had worked with 10 years before, no, more than 10, 15 years before, at Stratford-on-Avon, when he was a big star playing Hamlet. I was playing the fourth messenger from the left. And moving furniture very brilliantly, I might add. And in that season, there was also a young, bald guy playing old men. His name was Patrick Stewart. So he went on to have a small career, but he seems to be doing all right. Anyway, happy for him. Anyway, does that, when you want actual details here? Just, I gave you a general overview, yeah. So in terms of my career, I love that film because it's a change of pace for me. People don't expect me to play that kind of part. And I don't know why they never offered me another one. I guess they just went, Christ, he can't do that. So we were right all along. I don't know. Okay, anybody else? Oh, quite a few. Well, let's start over here with this young lady here.
So something I noticed a lot in your films, especially your earlier ones, like the Mick Travis trilogy, A Clockwork Orange, Time After Time, and Cat People, is that even though they're clearly fictitious, they all deal with very real problems and issues that we all face. So basically what I'm asking is, do you think that movies can be used to help people solve problems?
Well, I mean, listen, we are entertainers. That is the first thing. I mean, if we can say something in a film that resonates, then I'm thrilled, delighted. For instance, I'm doing this show at the moment for Amazon called Mozart in the Jungle, which is about, I can see one person here seen it. shows you the difference in the geographic places that I go. One person in the whole of Baltimore has seen it. I am so thrilled. Give that person a gold one. Well, it is about an orchestra, a classical music orchestra. Ooh, isn't that boring? Oh, Christ. Well, it's drugs, sex, and classical music. That's where I started my career. That was the ad line for Clockwork Orange. And now it's the ad line for Mozart in the Jungle. But, so I bring that up because if we can get one young person to listen to some of the music, which by the way is sensational, and what the hell do you think the Beatles were listening to before Dylan and Elvis? Mozart. So there is something to be said for it. We don't cram it down people's throats, you know, it's just a character, it's just there. But if you haven't checked it out, you will love the show, I guarantee it. And anyway, yes, I do think we can change perceptions of things, but I don't think movies really solve the problems of the world, unfortunately. So, you know, and as I said, my thing is really to entertain people. That's what we're paid to do, and that's what we should do. Of course, you know, you're true to the part and the script. And as an actor, I try to keep any moralization that I may have out of it. Otherwise, you limit yourself, and it's really not your business, the morality of a character. If it was, you'd only play sort of good, boring people. And that would be very limiting and very boring for me anyway. Yes, please.
I was here the year of Udo here also, as far as I Want to Kiss the Wolf, so that was a great year. But
You didn't do the accent right. I want to fuck the wolf.
I came up to you with a movie, and I asked you to sign for my daughter. And you looked at it, and you said, I'm not in this movie. And I said, you sure as hell are. Your movie's on, your name is on the DVD cover.
What was it?
And I want to know, do you still have no memories at all of Pinocchio 3000?
None at all. You are insane, sir. You are following around the country with this question about Pinocchio 3000? Are you an insane person? I've never even been in that movie. Have I? I've done a lot of movies.
You, Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg? You're insane! I love Whoopi. I've only done one film with Whoopi, and that was the Generations thing.
Now you did Pinocchio 3000.
No, good God, man. You've lost your marbles. Well, if I did that movie, I want to be paid for it. I swear. Yes, the clown at the back.
I have a rather general question. If you were in the hospital and you came into your friend's room and his head had been replaced onto a body of a sheep, what your reaction might be?
I thought we had parameters about intelligent questions. Now, just because you come in here dressed like a fucking serial killer clown, it does not mean to say that you can take advantage, sir.
You're a lucky man!
I know what you're referring to, and thank you, it's one of my favorite films. Oh, Lucky Man, a Lindsay Anderson movie which I did many years ago, but he's right. I saw a man shaking in a bed, pull back the bedclothes, and there was a pig's body that was transplanted onto where his body was. And I said to him, how much are they paying you? And he goes, pull him back and scream and jump out of the window. Is that what you were referring to?
I was just wondering what your reaction might be.
Well, that would be my reaction. jumping through a window. Is that all right? What are you doing up here? Jesus. Take over, you. Come on. I mean, well, I can't see that.
The first name on it, if you stand down.
No, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, I don't count cartoons. I go into a little booth, I do something, takes 10 minutes, I go home, and I don't know what the fuck it is. All right, okay, I get your point. You made your bloody point, okay. I'm wrong. Jesus. You've waited 10 years for that, haven't you? Give him a round of applause. All right, yes, at the back.
What was it like working with Lindsay Anderson?
Very good question. Lindsay Anderson is my mentor, and the man that I looked up to more than any other. He's also the greatest director I've ever worked with. In my opinion, one of the truly greats that's unheralded, naturally. If you're really great, of course, they can't see the talent at all because it's so hidden and natural and smooth. Lindsay was an amazing man. I once asked him why he loved John Ford so much, and he said, well, Malcolm, John Ford, there are many, many great directors. John Ford was a poet. So he was a great director and a poet, and so was Lindsay Anderson. He was primarily a stage director, always worked doing stage work in London at the very highest level, worked with all the greats, Gielgud, Richardson, all of them. He did my first movie, started me off in movies. I couldn't have asked for a better person to help me, to advise me, to cajole me, to scream at me, and to fight. We had the most extraordinary relationship, and I admired him tremendously, but I think first and foremost, I was great friends to him, and he to me. So when he died, I met him in '67, and he died in '93. It was a real painful time, and I still think of him pretty much every day. And his movies are there. I did This Sporting Life, If, Oh Lucky Man, Britannia Hospital, and a very interesting movie with Bette Davis and Lillian Gish called The Whales of August, which is rather an interesting film. I mean, Lindsay didn't think they'd ever get the money to do it, hence he agreed to do it, because he didn't like to say no. And he asked me, he said, will Mike, that was the producer, Mike Kaplan, will Mike get the money for this? And I went, oh, not a chance. Oh my God, no. I mean, he's cast Lillian Gish, and now he's looking for somebody to play her older sister. I mean, there's nobody older than Lillian Gish on the planet. Never mind to cast the older sister. Of course, he cast Bette Davis, who had a stroke, so she looked older. That was cheating. But they're both tremendous in it. I mean, different eras, really. You know, Lillian was the ethereal, spiritual, wonderful actress, way into her 80s, couldn't remember what planet she was on. It didn't really matter because, so Lindsay would shout out the line, "It's a good day today, Sarah!" It's a good day today, Sarah. Perfect. But Bette Davis didn't know where to look at the director shouting out the line. She was Jesus, and she was because she'd had her, I'm not mocking her, that's what she had. She was a bit like that, you know, and but of course, Bette Davis had the balls of steel, was an extraordinary actress, and but from a different era because, you know, she was very technical and just wanted it so like it was in Hollywood, you know, and that's what she was used to, but they were working on an island off the Maine coast, and it was pretty hairy. Anyway, Lindsay was the director, and he actually said this to her to stop filming for a while. He said, well, Bet, this is one film that you're not going to take over. And she just walked off the set. And that was the end of the filming for the day. Well, two strong personalities were butting heads. But anyway, they finished it. It's a great movie, and it's terrific for a Sunday afternoon when it's raining. And I'm sure it rains a lot here. Isn't it? I don't know. But go to Ireland if you want rain. Yes!
What was it like working with Stanley Kubrick, sort of on that scale?
Oh, Jesus. I have never had that question before.
It gives you a break. I've never seen you before in person.
Okay, I'll give you a break. Next! No, I'll tell I'm going to keep this short. Stanley, he was about 5'6", a little rotund, a little overweight, not much. And he'd be very, very upset if he heard me say that. He had a dark, dark beard. I worked with him when he was 47, at his peak as a director, I would say. He had these very intense black eyes. Highly intelligent man from the Bronx. Go figure. There's a few of them in the Bronx. I thought they were all in Brooklyn, but apparently not. He was a child prodigy. When he was 16, he took these photographs, got a camera, took photographs, and had one on the front of Look magazine. When he was 16 years of age. So he was obviously a comer. And so when I got to work with him, you know, he was at his height, really, in terms of audience appreciation and also the critics. You know, he was the king of the art film that was made popular. So he'd done Paths of Glory, Spartacus, Lolita, Strangelove, 2001, Clockwork Orange. Not a bad little run. Probably one of the finest runs of any director at any time. Even better than Spielberg, I think. I don't know, I mean, it's all subjective. But anyway, an amazing man. I'm very glad. Thank you, Stanley, is all I will say. Very glad I got to work with him, and it was a tremendous experience for me and life-changing, obviously. But not as life-changing as when I worked with Lindsay Anderson on my first movie, because that took me out of poverty. There's nothing quite like that. Okay, one more. All right, 5 more, I don't know. Yeah, we have. Oh, we got bags of time.
That's up to you, not about.
Yes.
It's always Halloween time, so I gotta ask this.
Yeah.
I like when you talk about that very, very famous role, Dr. Loomis.
Well, I know I keep saying this, but I never actually saw Halloween. I still haven't seen it. I must catch up on some of these things. I'm not a great fan of horror movies. I know I love Rob as a person. I don't think I'd cross a street to see one of his movies. But I love it. I love it. I mean, if you asked me to be in one, oh yeah, I love it. It's fun. I'm not into horror, you know. I know you guys are. You love it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here like idiots, you know. It's not my bag. I don't know. I like comedies. I like science fiction and other stuff. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, what was the question? Oh, Halloween. Yeah, okay, Halloween. Right. Well, you know, listen. When I met Rob, I really didn't know who he was, you know. Just Rob Zombie, and I said to a friend of mine in Scotland, when I called her, and I said, yes, I'm doing this, I've been offered this thing Rob Zombie, you know, is directing it. She went, Rob Zombie? Ooh, I think if I had a name like that, I'd change it. I said, darling, no, that's what he changed it to. Anyway, I had to go meet him in a restaurant in Beverly Hills, and I opened the door, I looked around at Mr. Chow's restaurant, and I saw somebody looking like Manson, you know, there with the long hair. And I went, Rob! And of course that was Rob. And we got on very well. We've always got on well. And we have a lot of fun when we work. You know, I don't know whether you've seen the outtakes. It seemed to be more bloody popular than the film. And they were certainly more fun to shoot. But we have just a great giggle, you know, good laugh. I remember one particular time where Michael Myers was supposed to come through the door, and he was supposed to be banging on the door or something, splintering it, and walks in, you know, and he's banging on the door, and it won't give way. They haven't quite made it, proof that he can walk in. So I just looked round and went, use the bloody doorbell! Walked off. Anyway, yes, any more? Yes.
As we all know, Caligula was very disturbing.
Very what?
Disturbing.
Disturbing?
But,
Oh, yes, okay, I'll take that.
I was wondering if there was any scenes that really was kind of hard to do. You know, like just something that was...
You mean the masturbation scene and or would you be thinking of the buttery scene, or perhaps the two lesbians at it, who ask Caesar to come join in, or are you talking about the wedding where he fucks the bride and the groom? Perhaps we're talking about that scene, or are we talking about something quite different?
Was there any certain scene that was kind of hard to act out?
Oh, hard to act out! Oh, those were a piece of piss. No problem with those. Well, hard to act out. The whole bloody thing was a bit of a grind, to be honest. It was almost a year of my life. But it paid for a divorce and for a house, and so I guess at the end of the day, I can't complain. What I did enjoy was working with poor, bewildered John Gilbert, who was one of the greatest actors in the English language, and he found himself in a porno movie. But, you know, he was homosexual, of course, there was common knowledge, and so he was thrilled, because everybody was naked, pretty much on the set. So he was wondering where these boys had all come from. And I said, well, John, I really don't know, you know. I saw him in a corridor. I was walking to the set. He'd already been on the set, checked it out. It was a grotto of swimming pool where naked people, boys and girls, were diving into a pool, and it was supposed to be Capri, Tiberius's home, you know, his palace. I saw John, who had a kind of worried but excited look on his face, and as we passed in the corridor, I was in this long train of thing with like 6 people from wardrobe holding the damn thing up, the costume. And he said, oh, Malcolm, so good. Have you been to the set? I said, well, John, no, I'm just on my way to the... He said, oh, I've never seen so much cock in all my life. And my God, was he right? I never saw so much cock either. There were like 500 of them. The bloody army was bollock naked. It was unbelievable. Talk about swing low, sweet chariot. Anyway, that's the kind of movies that I did. No wonder my mother said to me, "Ooh, can't you make a nice film?" I said, "Mum, apparently not." Yes?
How much time cumulatively did you have your eyes in those clamps? Also, thank you for being the best part of Tank Girl.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'll answer the first question first. And I'll just bask in the second half. Yes, those lid locks were quite painful, but my eyes were anesthetized. Then these damn things were put in my eyes, and they kept slipping out. But I couldn't feel it because my eyes were all anesthetized. And so you're only really supposed to have these things that I couldn't take it more than 10 minutes. And they had a doctor from a hospital, Moorfields Eye Hospital, who was putting these drops into my eyes every 12 seconds or so. Because if you don't keep the eyes moist, the cornea dries up, and the ultimate result of that is, unfortunately, blindness. This, I was told, as he was putting the anesthetic in my eyes. So that really comforted me. Made me feel right at home and ready to do the scene. So every line I would have, under my breath, I'm going, 1, 2. Dog! I couldn't point either because I was in a straitjacket. Anyway, it went well. We did the take, one take, got in the car, drove home, and an hour and a half later, whenever it was, when the anesthetic wore off, the pain, oh my God. I don't know whether anyone here has had scratched corneas. No fun. I see no hands going up for that. Well, I'm very pleased, because you don't want that. I've never had pain like it. And thank God I had a friendly doctor that lived around the corner who came and gave me a shot of morphine in my ass. I remember saying as I was going under, "Oh, what was that?" That's the one and only time I think I ever had that drug, and good God, you don't want to get on that. Anyway, so yes, very painful, and my eyes were gritty for a week afterwards. Luckily, the cornea it repairs itself fairly fast. But as I came out with a big bandage around one eye, and Stanley looked at me and he goes, "Could we shoot on the other eye?" That was his sense of humor, I think. Yes?